XLM Stellar Lumens is about to catch everybody off guard. It's been super boring and super quiet over the last few weeks, and that has everyone looking into the hype coins that are seeing some good pumps on a daily basis, and then they're just putting their money into those hype coins and waiting for it to pull back on them because they've bought the top, when really they should be paying attention to the likes of Stellar XLM. In this video, we're going to look at the latest news coming out about Stellar XLM as well as my price predictions. So do me a favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe. Let's get into today's video. So guys, as we look into the XLM US dollar chart, we can see a pretty nasty looking chart. If you've been invested in this, we saw that big dump towards the downside that saw us losing approximately 12 or 13%, and then we've just continued to be moving sideways. But this is a very, very exciting area in the market, and we're going to talk about that later on after we get into the news. Now, if we look away from the actual chart analysis for a moment and see in the news what's really happening with the XLM, we can maybe start to piece together a few reasons as to why the crypto has been underperforming. Now, recently there was a Stellar Lumens airdrop over on Coinbase, which obviously then floods the market with a ton of new coins. Because it's such an important problem that XLM is solving, you're starting to get a lot of other bank-centric tokens that are coming in to compete with XLM in the space. I don't want you to be put off by that. If we think about blockchains, we've got Ethereum and we've got the likes of HBAR, Solana, and these other blockchains have come in and are basically so much better than Ethereum. They're so much faster than Ethereum, they're so much cheaper than Ethereum. And yet Ethereum still reigns supreme and will probably flip Bitcoin in this next market cycle. Well, it's all about being the first one in the particular area of the market, and XLM solves a problem that many others are trying to solve, but they were the first to come in and solve that issue. That means that as we move into a future market and we have all of these use cases coming out about XLM, it still will be the blockchain of choice for banking institutions and individuals who are trying to solve the cross-border payment solutions problem. As we look into this diagram, we've got XLM sat down in number 7 and a pretty heavy-hitting host of blockchains sat above it. HBAR obviously had a phenomenal year with the number of transactions increasing by around 2,200%. And you would have thought that HBAR would be pumping, but no, lo and behold, HBAR right now is not doing a huge amount either. And XLM, when you look into the transactions on here, is down 62%. That's not necessarily to worry about though, as you would imagine, because of the market falling towards the downside, you would expect to see less transaction volume happening on this. But as I talked about in previous videos I've made about the likes of Solana, I actually like an underdog. I like a coin that's been under the cosh and having a bit of negative press about it, because that pushes the price down, but ultimately we still will see a massive surge towards the upside in my opinion. So the tighter you can squeeze these coins right now with the negative news, I'm all for it, because then I get my entry price, and we're going to look at how to enter into this coin slightly later on. Another piece of massive news, Stellar Circle introduces new interoperability solution for USDC transfer between blockchains. Can XLM price skyrocket to 15 cents report? Now, interoperability is a problem across cryptocurrency, and particularly when it comes to stable coins. But Circle Net Financial has released the Cross-Chain Transfer Protocol, the CCTP, a new method to move stablecoins USDC between blockchains that is faster, safer, and cheaper than traditional bridging methods. As we move into the bull market, again, we're gonna see the use of stablecoins absolutely rocket towards the upside. We obviously have in the past, they've been used as hedges against the performance of Bitcoin, etc. So I do see this being a very, very positive move for Stellar Lumens here. But this is the sort of stuff that has me very, very excited. Now, we do have a bit of negative press about XLM. It's also linked up with XRP, which is still kind of going through an interesting phase of its life with the announcements from the SEC coming up this week. XLM could ride with the bulls as Franklin Templeton utilizes Stellar. Now, institutional money will start to use these blockchains and things like that. And once they get bigger and bigger use cases and they're used by more and more different organizations, the more utility a coin has, the more ultimately it will be valued, or at least perceived to be valued. Franklin Templeton's on-chain US government money fund is now available on the Stellar network through the Benji investment app. the first mutual fund to use public blockchain technology for transactions and share ownership. Now, this is very exciting. A massive organization that is Franklin Templeton have decided to use XLM rather than using other blockchains. It's also an indication that more and more off-chain organizations or traditional organizations are now moving on-chain, or at least trying to put parts of their operations on-chain, and that's a very exciting thing. But it's interesting to note that during the time from this news coming out till now, we've seen XLM falling by around 13%. So what does that really tell us right now? Well, it tells us that time and time again, people think the use cases, people think that all the news and everything surrounding crypto is ultimately what is going to drive the prices. And once you move later on into the market and you get more institutional investment and things like that, then yeah, you do. But right now, most of the people investing in crypto, particularly XLM and other sort of larger cap coins, don't tend to be so much the institutional funds, okay? They tend to be the smaller money, okay? The likes of you and me, the smart investors. Now, you obviously do get larger investments coming in, but ultimately this news just allows us to perhaps buy at better prices. Like, the positive news that we're getting doesn't really have much of an impact because we obviously had a bit of negative press pushing on XLM here, and then along with Bitcoin and everything else, we dropped very nicely towards the downside. And you're like, very nicely towards the downside, what do you mean? Well, guys, this is a long stretch in crypto. We're not here for the short term. We're in it for the long term because we want to make massive gains over the next year to 2 years. And the more you can be patient and not expect to wake up every day to massive gains, the more you're going to thrive in this crypto market. But right now, XLM is just arriving into what I like to call the gold zone. The buy zones that I basically draw on all my charts and I talk about all the time in my Telegram group. So how do you identify these buy zones, and why is XLM looking absolutely a premium right now? Well, as you can see, when we come back to this area of the market back here, we can see something very interesting happened in certain areas. Now you can see that we did have a lot of big candles, and I wanted to point out these the other day in the XRP XLM video I made. Big candles tell me big buying pressure. Now, we're not talking necessarily banks money, but we're talking big money, people with a lot of money to move the market. And they will know when to buy and when to sell. And they will identify an area where they're buying. And we can also identify where they're buying by looking at these big candles. Now, we can see that there is areas across this chart in which we've dropped into an area like this, and then we got bought up again. What we can see here, sideways action, drop, and then surge, push, big candles coming out here, right? So this tells me that this here is a potential buy zone. Now you can see below that, I've also drawn another one. We've got these big candles pushing out of it. This I identified as another buy zone. We've already drawn these on, so what can we do is we can come across and look at where the charts are at right now. And what you can see, this XLM has arrived into this first buy zone. That's very, very significant for us, right? Because if I'm looking to buy crypto, I don't want to be buying. I don't want to be one of those guys who's just doing what everyone else is doing and buying at the end of a pump like this. Because, you know, okay, at the top of that, it's already done, what, 23%? If you buy there, and then now you're sat 18% down on your investment. Rather than waiting for this pullback, and we've identified this as a buy zone, what I could do potentially, if I had, let's say, $50 to invest, is I could put $25 in now. And if it gets down to here, I've got another $25, because that will then save me another, what, 8-9%. But we are seeing some interesting things happening in this box. You can see that every time we're getting near it, we're having big pushes out. This one came down hard and another big push out. We are continually getting into it. What that tells me is the more times you're knocking on that door, all it's doing is soaking up the buy orders. This is full of buy orders, and every time it dips into that area, it triggers buy orders. And if it continues to trigger buy orders, eventually there's not going to be enough buy orders, and the sell orders are going to take over, and then it'll hit the next zone. So what I've got right now is an excellent area in the market for XLM. This is a very exciting chart to be looking at, and actually you probably think it's more exciting to be looking at charts that have already done this, but you know, we're looking for the pullbacks. What else we've got to look at is this previous high through here was previous resistance, and we know that previous resistance becomes future support. So in my opinion, XLM could well see a nice bounce here, and we could be bouncing nicely up here, 24% or so. Very much hangs in the balance, I think, with Bitcoin. But XLM and XRP do their own thing. Let's see what happens with this XRP news. If XRP has some negative press, XLM will get dragged with it. But the state of the world in terms of banking right now, it's essential that we have cross-border payment solutions. What XLM is doing is something absolutely essential, in my opinion. There's plenty of people around the world who are unbanked, and they deserve to have banks because then they can use it to send money across the world. They can use it to receive payment. So many people working online right now, and now they require other methods of payment. And Swift payment solutions to send money across borders, also completely insufficient for dealing with what they're basically for, because it's an outdated technology from back in the 1970s. And I talk more about this in other XLM videos that I've made. But guys, if you enjoyed today's crypto update on XLM Stellar Lumens, and do me a favor, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, you want to learn more about what's happening in crypto, then subscribe for daily updates on all sorts of different cryptos, what I'm buying, what I'm selling, and what I'm doing right now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.